Hello, Least Like Critic 75 here for the Uncoon Movie Critics channel. Now, how many of y'all remember The Karate Kid? No, not the remake starring Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. I'm talking about the 1984 film which starred Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. How many of y'all remember that? Probably a lot of y'all do. Ralph Macchio played Daniel, a young 17-year-old kid. I mean, he was 22 at the time, but looks like he hasn't even escaped adolescence. So he was believable as 17-year-old Daniel, who falls in love with Allie, played by then unknown Elizabeth Shue. But her ex-boyfriend, who knows karate and is a member of this group called the Cobra Kai, won't let up about it, and he practically give him a hard time. They just really make his days there unpleasant at school. And Daniel is left nowhere to turn. Then he befriends Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita, who saves Daniel's life from the Cobra Kai when they're just beating the you-know-what out of him. And Daniel asks, can you teach him karate? Mr. Miyagi agrees. His methods are peculiar, but he gets results. Now, you didn't think there'd be a sequel to this. I mean, they didn't feel it left it open for a sequel, but nonetheless, a sequel was written up 2 years later. The Karate Kid Part 2, which reprised the roles of Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, who were both played by Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. Now we learn more about Mr. Miyagi, the secrets of his past. He goes back to Okinawa, and Daniel comes along for the ride. And Miyagi meets with an old enemy, and this old enemy's nephew becomes Daniel's new tormentor. Now, this guy is a trained killer compared to the last guys he had to deal with from the first one. This guy's a killer. And performances were good, and it didn't prove to be as good as the first one. It was even better. I mean, the fight scenes were great. Everything about this movie was good. And they had to ruin what was good about this one by making a part 3. Where do I start? Okay, they come back from Okinawa, and Ralph Macchio looks like he's put on 25 to 30 pounds. His acting is badly over the top. Oh, before I get into more bad things, I'll tell you what the story's about. John Kreese, who was the evil karate master from the first one, his business has gone down and he wants to get away, but his evil buddy from Vietnam, played by Thomas Ian Griffin, who was probably in real life not even old enough to be in Vietnam, but because the plot says so, you instantly believe it. Wants to take revenge on Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. And oh boy. Now I gotta say, Thomas Ian Griffin, is memorable in spots. He's as a memorable villain, but I gotta say, I think the movie failed because they didn't make it much of a mystery of who this guy was. I mean, they should have just kept us by surprise, kept the audience by surprise. But the audience pretty much knows what's coming, and that's what made the movie not as memorable. And Ralph Macchio, he was very over the top as Daniel. Ooh. Despite the fact putting on 20 or 25 pounds, they didn't think the audience would notice this. They thought it would just go over the audience's head, but it didn't. They're just trying to insult the audience's intelligence. And he and Robin Lively, yes, older sister to actress Blake Lively from Gossip Girl. Her hair is about as red as my shirt, and she was adorable, but she and Macchio made no sense. Pat Morita this time he's always good as Mr. Miyagi. He can't fail. He can never fail as Mr. Miyagi. He's always good as Daniel's wise old mentor. And I gotta say, the fight scenes were annoyingly hokey. Ooh boy, especially the fight scene in the karate in the karate dojo which Miyagi has with the other guys. That scene was just hokey. The villain, Sean Kanan, who plays Mike Barnes, he's just aggravating. He has no interest to the movie whatsoever. Heck, even to Johnny from the first one and to Chosen, there was some subtlety to this, but there was no subtlety to this character. He was just annoying. He had no personality whatsoever. Now, no, nothing was good. And this may be a little spoiler. The fight scene at the end, that was terrible. Come on, he fought Chosen in the second one, and Daniel says he's afraid in this one. He says he's afraid of this Mike Barnes character. You fought Chosen in the second one. Chosen was a trained killer compared to Mike Barnes. Oh boy, this is an embarrassment to what was a good franchise. This movie, the third one, was an embarrassment. It was and they quickly followed with 5 years later with the next Karate Kid, which starred Hilary Swank. Now I know Nostalgia Critic picked that film is the worst, but in my opinion, I think that was considered good compared to. That was flawed, but it was not bad compared to Karate Kid Part 3. Oh boy, Karate Kid Part 3. This movie deserves a 3 out of 10. It's terrible. There's nothing good about it. It's just not memorable. The fight scenes are hokey. Ralph Macchio's performance is over the top. Robin Lively is just wasted in this movie. She's just very wasted. It's just, oh gosh. Okay. Alright, that's my review to Karate Kid Part 3.